Hello class, let's launch into your After Effects assignment. Now what this assignment is you're going to create a timeline of any subject you want. I've got an example to show you, but if you want to do well, let me just show you the example and then we'll talk about it. So you can see that my example is Jeff Bridges, American actor. So watch what happens. Now I don't have any music or sound with this, but what I do is I go through and in chronological order have pictures of different movies that he has been in. And then you will finish it up by saying created by and your name. Okay? You will see that there's a sheet on this, but you need to have at least 10 images. Now I put a background with mine. You do not have to, but if you put a background, that does not count towards one of your images. The other thing is that you must have the text moving with the picture. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to set up your timeline, how to try to make it even. So let's launch into that right now. So we're going to open up After Effects and we're going to create a new composition. So I click on that. If you guys remember from before, we get this. So what we want to do is I'm going to come down here and do an HD TV 1080 29.97. You can see it's a 1920 by 1080 square pixels. There it is. But what I'm going to do is set this because your project needs to be no longer than 1 minute long. So I'm going to make this project 1 minute. And I'm going to say, okay, so now I have a sequence. And so I want to import my assets. Now what I have done is I have downloaded let me get to my folder where you don't have a zip file that you're downloading for this. You're creating everything. So I'm going to go to what I did was I went and got some pictures of Ford Broncos through the years. And then I have a picture for my background. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to put my picture for my background on here. So there it is. You know, it's a road. I'm doing cars, so that kind of makes sense. So what I want to do is I'm going to make sure that, because I'm not sure how big this picture is, so I'm going to zoom this down. And you can see I want to make sure it fills my screen. So I'm going to go just a touch more. I'm going to leave it at 100%. All right, so now I want to start off. If I want to do a title slide, then I'm going to start with text, and I'm going to call it Broncos Through the Years. Whoop, I need to capitalize my years. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my text, and what I want to do is I'm going to make it a different color. So I'm going to highlight my entire text. I can also just click in it and do a Command A. I'm going to come up here and I'm not going to do anything real fancy, just going to make it white. Now I've switched over to my Move tool. I'm going to put it in the middle. And so the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change to a different type style. So I'm going to go back to my text tool. I'm going to just click anywhere in there and say Command A for all. I'm going to go here and let me pick a nice font. There we go. That's good enough. All right. So now the other thing I want to do is I want that to stand out a little bit. So I'm going to get a drop shadow. So if you remember, I go over here to Effects and Presets. I don't know where drop shadow is, so I'm just going to go up here and type drop. And here's this perspective drop shadow. That's a good one. I'm going to drag it down and put it on that layer. So you can see I've got a thing. Now I've got this the resolution set to 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and do full so we can see it. So you can see up here I have got the controls for that drop shadow. I'm going to go ahead and make its opacities at 50. That's the standard. So I'm going to make that at 100%. And I'm going to then do my distance and put that, I'm going to try it about 10. That seems a bit too far. Let me go about 8. Okay, I like that. So that's where it's going to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my text down here. I'm going to go to transform. And all I'm going to do is position. I don't need to scale it. So I'm going to set a keyframe for position starting there. Now I'm going to be moving my images at about 4 seconds across the screen. So I'm going to do a position. So I'm going to go down. Now remember, this is halfway. So I need it to move off the screen in 2 seconds. So I'm going to go, because that's half of 4. And I'll show you why we're doing that. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. Let me just click on here and say 2. And then if I want these things to move evenly across, not move up or down, then I'm going to go to my first number here. And if I just move that number like this, then, and I want it to just go off the frame. So now you can see I have Broncos through the ears, and there it goes. So now I want to bring in my first Bronco, my first car, and I want it to start moving. Hang on just a second. Let's do this. I'm going to grab these 2 keyframes, and I'm going to move them down to where they start at 2 seconds, to where my title sits up there for 2 seconds before everything starts moving. So let me go here, 2 seconds. I'm going to move my keyframes to where they start there. So now my audience has 2 seconds. You can see that it has 2 seconds to read my text, and then it starts. So I want these to parade. I don't want one to go off the screen and then the next one come on. So I am going to start my first Bronco right here. So let me go back to my project, and I'm going to get my first Bronco. I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to put it above the text. So I'm going to close out the controls for that. So here is my Bronco. Now that's a little bit big because I need to put text underneath it. So I'm going to open up my transform. I'm going to go to thing, and I'm going to try off and just say 90 degrees. And if I move it up a little bit, and I like that, I've got enough room to put my text underneath it. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I am going to go to my text tool. I'm going to go underneath here, and I'm going to say 1960 Bronco. Let me put Ford Bronco. All right, now I'm going to make this text a little smaller, so I'm highlighting it. I'm going to go here, and it's at 150 now, so I'm going to make it at 100. Okay, I like that size, so I'm going to bring it down and position it where I want it. Now, I haven't done any movement on this yet, but I'm going to show you how can I make this text move with this image. And watch what happens. If you look right here, this swirl line here, that's called the Pickwick. I don't know why they came up with that name. But what I want to do, and what I like doing is, since my text is under that, I'm going to put my text, actually move it towards underneath the Bronco. So now what I can do, I want the text to do whatever the Bronco image does. So I'm going to click on the Pickwick, left click, hold the mouse down, move up to, it points to the Bronco JPEG, 1960 Bronco JPEG, and I click that. Now you can see that it is tied to that. So now watch what happens. I want to move my Bronco off the screen. Remember, I want to use this first number, and I'm going to move. Look how the text moves exactly with the image. All right. Now, if you want, you could also put your drop shadow on the Ford the same way you put it on there. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So I'm going to move this off. Okay. So now this starts moving, and I'm at 2 seconds. I want the Bronco to move for 4 seconds. So that means 2 plus 4 is 6. So I'm going to go to 6 seconds in. Now I'm going to, I'm very sorry. I have forgot a very important step. Let me go back to my 2 seconds where I want this to start. I need to put a keyframe in for position there. Okay? So now I'm going to go to my 6 seconds, and I'm going to move this down. Another thing I can do here is I can click that and hit 0. You can see it jumps way down the screen, and I don't have to move so much. So I'm going to go here. Now it's just off the screen. Now let's see how our animation is working. All right, there we go. Now I want to put my next image in there. So I want it to start when this Bronco is halfway through the screen. So remember, it's 4 seconds. So this starts at 2. So if I go here to 4, use my page down, there. Now this is where I want the next one to start. This works very well because then this gives me the option or a template as to what to do. So I'm going to go and get my 1970 Bronco, and I'm going to put it there. Now I want to scale this down roughly to the same size as my first image. So I'm going to go here to open up my transform to my scale, and I'm going to bring it down. You can see this one's a little bigger, top and bottom. So I'm just going to kind of split the difference. Now I want to bring this up. So somewhere about there. So I've got that all squared away. Now I want the text to match. I want everything to match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to my text of the 1966 or 1960 Ford Bronco, and I'm going to do a Command D, or you can go up here and say copy. Or not Command D, Command C for copy. Or a Command D for duplicate. That's what we really need to do, is to duplicate this. So now you can see we've got this Ford Bronco 2 here. I'm going to move it up and put it under my 1970 Bronco. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go to my text tool. I'm going to click in there. I'm going to move down. It's hard to see that, so I'm going to go, there it is. I'm going to go here and say 1970 Ford Bronco. All right, so I've got those ready to go. You can see since I duplicated, this is still tied to my 60 Bronco. I don't want that anymore. So I'm going to click on the pickwick, left click, hold down, move up to my 1970 Bronco. Now you can see that's tied to my 1970 Bronco. I'm going to open up my controls for the Bronco image. Well, I'm going to move it off the frame. There we go. Now I'm going to set a keyframe. Now this is at 4. We want to add 4 to that, so we're going to go down here to 8. Oh, page up now. There I am right at 8. So now I want to do this and bring this over, so I'm just going to use this. Again, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type a 0. You can see it jumps way over here. I don't have to drag as much. There we go. Now let's take a look at our animation. So we have our Broncos through the years, and there they go, and look how the speed of those match. See how I'm doing this? I'm going to do one more for you. I'm going to go and halfway through this one, so that should be about at 6. and I'm going to do a 1980 Bronco. Well, I got two more. I can do two more for you. So anyway, let's come down here. I'm putting it at the top. I'm going to close out the, whoops, I missed that, so I'm going to move it to the top. There we go. And now this is real big. If you remember having this, let me turn the eyeball off here. Having this here, the image here gives us an idea of where we can scale this one to. So I'm going to open up my transform and I'm going to scale this down. And you can see this, so I'm going to go about there. Let me raise it up. I'm going to do about there. So I like that. That's working for me. So I'm going to go to my 1970 Bronco text, do a Command D for duplicate. Going to drag that up and put it under my 1980 Bronco. Now I'm going to click on this, go to my text tool. If I click right there, I can make it 1980. Again, I want to tie it to that picture. So I'm going to do my Pickwick, left click, hold down, and now that's tied to the 80 Bronco. So now I'm going to take my picture of my Bronco, go to position, move this off the frame. I'm going to set a keyframe. There, we got a keyframe already. There, I've set a keyframe. Now I'm going to go down to 10 seconds, 6 and 4. Remember, we're moving these across the screen at about 4 seconds each. So I'm going to go down to 10. Use my page down to get right to 10. Now I'm going to position, change the position here. Remember how I can jump it way over to the other side of the thing by hitting a 0. Get it just off the frame. Now let's see how we're doing. Broncos through the years. 1960 Ford Bronco, 1970 Ford Bronco. There's our 1980 Ford Bronco. Okay, we've got one more, a 2000 Bronco. So let me go through this one more time for you. So I want this about in the middle. So this should be at about 8. I'm going to page down so I'm right at 8. It's 8 seconds in. I'm going to get my 2000 Bronco and I'm going to bring it down and put it on top. I'm going to go to the text of my 1980 Bronco and I'm going to do a Command D and copy that. Duplicate it. So now I'm going to move it up underneath. You can see how see how I've got this organized. Let's change this here. I need to scale this down so we can see it. So let's take our 2000 Bronco and remember we're using our, we're sitting here, so we're using our previous picture. So I'm going to take this just a touch bigger. Okay, I like that there. All right. So now I need to change and make this a 2000 Bronco. All right, and now I want to tie it to that, so I'm going to take the Pickwick, drag it up to my 2000. And you can see, let's move this off screen, then I'll talk about that. So we're going to move this over. I'm going to set my position keyframe. Now I want to go down, 8 and 4 is 12, so I'm going to go down to 12 seconds. And I'm going to position this. If you tend to grab it up here to move it, you tend to move up and down. This way you can keep it very straight to where it's not moving up or down, it's just moving left or right. So there it is, just off the frame. So let's back up. Now see how these images parade? They go about the same speed. And it's moving right along. Now, I want to show you there's a couple of things that you can do here. I want to start here, but as this moves and our first image comes in, I want our background to blur. So I'm going to go right to my 2 seconds where this starts to move. Page down, there we are, or whoop, page up, we're right at 2 seconds. So I want to go over here to my effects and presets. Remember I put drop in here, so I want to get rid of that. And I'm going to type in blur. And so here are all the different blurs. Gaussian blur is just like we used in Photoshop. This is a good blur to use. So I'm going to use it. So I want to drag it down. Hang on a second. I'm going to close up the controls for Bronco. Now I want to do this on the road. So I'm going to grab my Gaussian blur, drag it all the way down here to my bottom layer, which is, mine is called road because, you know, that's what it's, picture of the road. So I'm going to go here. I don't need transform, I need effects. So I'm going to open up the controls for my blur. And you can see I'm going to blurriness, I'm going to go right here, I'm going to set a keyframe. And what I want to do is have that blurred about the time that this is in the middle of the frame. So now I can go here and say how much blur do I want to put on it. So I like about 15. You set it to whatever you want if you want to do that, if you want to put a blur on it. Now, there's something else that you could do. If you want your image to stand out, you could put a drop shadow on it. Remember how we did the drop shadow on the text? You do the same thing there. You could also put a glow around it. You could play around with effects over here and pick something that you like. Be consistent. If you're going to do it on one, do it on all of them. All right, so now let's take a look. You can see our road is in focus. Then as it starts to move, it blurs out and our pictures stand out a little better. So you will do this all the way through. And let me go ahead. I know I don't have enough images, but I'm going to polish this off. Just like you guys are supposed to do, you have to put a created by credit on here. So I'm going to close up this. I'm going to make sure I do not have any layer selected. I'm going to go to text, and I'm going to go in here and click here and say created. Whoop, I don't know how to spell. Created by. If I want to make it bigger, I certainly can. I go back to my text tool, click anywhere in there, do a Command A. I'm going to say here and make it to 150. Now if I want to put my drop shadow on it, go here, let's go to Effects, Presets. There's my drop shadow. Let's drag it over, put it on there. I'm going to go here and say and I think I gave the other one an 8. All right, so I've got this set. Let me open up my controls, my transform. So this is where I want it to start, where this picture is halfway through. So I am going to, we want to go here to position, and I'm going to move it off the frame. Move it out of frame. I'm going to set a keyframe. Now I'm at 8 seconds, so I want to go to 12. Whoop, I think I'm in the wrong place. I went too early. So I need to go here to there. Now, and I made a mistake, but I can easily grab my keyframe, bring it to where I need to bring it. All right, so I'm at 10, so I want to go to 12. And now I'm going to bring my text in and have it stop in the middle. Now, let's see what we've got. So there's one image, 2 images, 3 images. There's my 4th image. You guys are going to have 10, and then I have this created by. Okay, so you can see how you can create this. It's not that difficult. The key is this pick wick, making sure that you are flying your text with your image. Then all you have to do is animate the image, and your text will follow along. Okay, I hope everybody's got that. If you need to, go back and watch it. Now I want to talk to you about how do you go about getting images. Now, your images could be, if you have pictures of you growing up and you want to do your own timeline, fine. If you've got vacation pictures over the years and you want to say, here where I went on vacation for these 10 different times, do that, whatever you want. Or if you want to go and say, I want to do an actor, I want to do a car, I want to do Barbie dolls, I want to do Disney princesses, I want to do Superman's through the years, Batman's through, whatever you want to do, you can do it. All right? It doesn't even have to be a chronological. If you say, gosh, I love flowers, I'm going to show you 10 different flowers and name them different, what their names are, or birds, or whatever. It can be anything you want it to be, as long as there are 10 images and your text moves with your image. When you put an image, give a description of it. Okay, so I want to show you how do you go about getting images. Okay, so I've opened up Chrome, there's Google, and it shows images. Now you can also, if you need to, type up here Google Images. So I'm going to go to Images, and it shows a blank screen. What images do I want to use? So let's go and say, you can see where I've been looking for other things, is say that you want to do Superman. So I'm going to go to type in Superman. So here are all different Supermans. If I'm going to do Supermans, I want to do Superman, because very early on, going to go movie serial. Movie serial. This was our very first Superman that appeared on camera. Now, if you want to make sure that you're getting big pictures, here is a trick that you can do. You're going here, you can see if I hover over this, it tells me it's a 1080 by 720. That's a good size picture. But I want to make sure I only are looking at big pictures. I don't want to get a bunch of little pictures that I have to blow up for my image and their thing. So I can go here to Tools, go to Size, and say Large. Now it's only going to show me large images. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on this one, and I like that. I'm going to say View Image, and then if I right click it and say Save Image As. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure that I put wherever I'm going to do, I'm going to start a new folder, and this is going to be Superman. So I want to click and I want to do that. And here is Superman Serial. Whatever you're going to name it is fine. All right. Now I'm going to close this out. I can close this. Now I'm going to go, because I know there was a TV, this is when I was growing up, there was a TV series that I just absolutely love, and it was called Adventures of Superman. And this is the one that had George Reeves as Superman. So here's a good image here. I like that. So you can see that I can go through here and look for other ones, but I like that one. I'm going to view the image. There's a nice big thing. So I'm going to right click it, save image as, and I'm going to call it Superman 2. Okay. So I'm going to close that out. I'm going to close this out. Now I'm going to go through, and now the next one is going to be, if I just hit Superman, our next one should be the Christopher Reeve Superman. So I can click here. There he is. If I want to look at a different one, I'm going to go with this one. I like this one, so let's view the image. Let's right click it, save image as, and I'm going to call this Superman 3. So you can do this. So you can see that you can look for, Superman, because then there's the Dean Cain Superman. There's the Ralph, the Return of Superman, and then there was who was it? The Man of Steel Superman. You can see that throughout, and go and find all your Supermen and download those, and then you've got your images that you can then use to create your timeline. And if you were going to do a background, let's say you're going to do a background for Superman, well, what if we go here and say, because where was Superman? He wasn't in Gotham City. But let's say if we want to do Daily Planet, and here's a picture of the Daily Planet, that if we wanted to use that as a background for all of our Superman, then we would grab this and save this image, and I would save it as Daily Planet. There it is. So you can be creative. You can also, let me show you, if you just say, look, I want to do a, because Superman is usually red and blue. He's got some yellow in it. So let's do a graduated background. And if I do red to blue. So here is you can find a red to blue background. So you can look for any kind of a background that you want. If you're good enough in Photoshop, you could go in and create one that you wanted. So this is how you can go get pictures if you're going to use them off the internet. I'm not worried about copyrighted pictures. You're not going to be using this for anything. This is just for an assignment. But do not forget that you are to fly text with your images. There must be at least 10 images, and it must end with a created by in your name, and it can't be longer than a minute. Okay? So there's all the parameters of how you can create this timeline. So if you have any problems, can't figure something out, doesn't make any sense, you've watched the walkthrough a number of times and I've skipped something or just it's not making sense, contact me. I'm here to help you. So there you go. This is your After Effects assignment, and then after we get through with After Effects, we're launching into Premiere. So getting into video editing after that. So good luck with this, and we will see you next time.